Hey people, what's up? Jay here. So we are going to answer that infamous question. How do I estimate when I'm working with teams? If you ever want to cause an argument between some agile coaches, ask them the best way to estimate. With no further ado, I'm going to share my Miro board. Let's use some sort of metaphor so that anybody can understand this. Now, imagine we are getting a house renovated and we've hired a team of workmen and workwomen, whatever, people that can get the stuff done. They're going to have their own specialisms and generalisms. So stuff that they're really good at, maybe an electrician, and stuff that they're okay at. So a generalism, so they can probably do some sort of painting. It's not their expertise, but they could turn their hand to it. Let's look at the stuff that this team want to get done in a week. So we've got resurfacing the garden, changing the box room carpet, assembling the bedside table, updating the taps in the bathroom, and so on. The first bit of advice I want to give to you is get a shared language as to what it means when we talk about effort, because that's what we're talking about, aren't we, really? Look, check this out. Resurfacing the garden with Astro. What is the effort to get this piece of work done? Now, if somebody began resurfacing the garden at 9 o'clock in the morning and somebody rewired the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, if they both finished at 5, did they exert the same effort? Well, I would say not. They exerted different types of effort. So, for example, resurfacing the garden is more arduous. You know, it's physical, more onerous type of work. There's a level of thinking involved for sure, and a level of skill, but it's more about the heavy lifting. On the other hand, the rewiring of the house is much more cerebral. It's more complex. It certainly takes more kind of, should we say, thinking work compared to resurfacing the garden. So what I'm trying to show you here is that when you establish what the word effort means and you get a shared language around that, then we're all clear on the different types of effort. And you're going to see how that can facilitate the discussion when a team are going to estimate. So let's take something into play here. Now below, we've got something known as the Fibonacci scale, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. You can observe Fibonacci. I think he was an Italian mathematician. There's all types of things in flora and fauna where you'll notice this pattern. What's the relevance of this pattern when it comes to the team finding out how much stuff they can get done? Well, let's try it out. The 1 is the least amount of effort, and the 8 in this case is the most. So we want to relatively size these items according to the effort. Okay, so imagine we say to the team, okay, assembling the bedside table could be the least effort. Yeah. Compare that to, or bagging up the leaves in the garden. Mickey, could you put that down for me a little bit? Thank you. Bagging up the leaves in the garden, you could say that they're a similar level of effort. Painting the living room is twice as much as assembling the bedside table. How about changing the box room carpet? Is that 3 times more? And so on. So maybe you're picking up on what's happening here. Rewiring the house is probably the one that involves the most effort, along with resurfacing the garden, painting the box room, and so on. What we do here is we introduce one of these items to the team. So we've got a bunch of people, and we say to our team, look, how long do you think it will take for a piece of work to travel from to do to done? So in this case, we've got painting the living room. Here we facilitate the discussion. Some people might say, well, I think it's going to be a 1. I think it's going to be a 2. Somebody says it's going to be a 5. What this allows us to do is take everybody's estimation. And if there are 5 people and the majority think it's a 1 and 2, and somebody thinks it's a 5, we slow down the conversation and we understand why that person thinks what they think. They can kind of explain to us. Now, through that discussion and through the thinking tools mentioned above of, is it onerous? Is it physical work? Is it more cerebral? Is it more thinking type of work? And another question that we could also ask is, have we done it before? we can start to understand, relatively speaking, where does painting the living room fall in relationship to the other cards, right? So do we think painting the living room is 5 times as hard as assembling the bedside table? Well, maybe it's 5 times as hard to a person who doesn't have the right equipment, somebody who doesn't know the most efficient way to add the paint in a certain, number of layers, and so on. So I think it's a 5. The rest of you think it's easier, but through that education, another developer or the workman might say, well, look, yeah, there's this paintbrush, there's this step ladder, there's this approach. And that information may then compel me to say, okay, I can see what it'll come down to the 3. And can we caveat that with, if we are going to, bring me down to a 3, I'd like it that somebody could pair with me when I do it. Okay. What's important is as teams start to develop some empirical data on what they can do, they have reference cards, right? So we know what it means to, in this kind of building or workman team, we know what a 1 means to us. We know what it means to update the taps. We know what it means to change the box room carpets. We know what it means to rewire the house. We have got a point of reference that we can always compare the product backlog items to. Now, with that said, if it's the first ever time we're working together, then the amount of work that we're going to take in to get done in a week could be a little bit volatile because we've never worked together. So, yeah, in this case, they've taken on these 6 product backlog items, and let's just say, for argument's sake, that the points, so an 8-person team can get, I don't know, 12 points done in 1 week. Okay. That would be the start to begin to use an evidence-based approach to understanding how much we can get done. Okay. So what we've learned here is the stuff to be done, establish the different meaning of effort for your team. The more cerebral or the more arduous type of work, have we done it before? There's some questions that we can think about when we're understanding effort. Look at the relative sizing approach we've used here with Fibonacci, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Have everybody discuss how long they think an item would take to go from to do to done. Let them vote on it. If there's some discrepancy or there's a big disparity between different numbers, I think it's a 1, it's easy effort. You think it's an 8. Obviously, we have a different understanding of the work to be involved. Have the conversation. Inform each other, educate. Again, share how long you think it's, not how long, how big it is from a relative point of view. And slowly but surely, using your reference points, as we said, you should be able to establish how much you can get done within that 1 week. And in this case, that could be a sprint or an iteration, but it's a period of time where we're trying to get a goal delivered. I hope that helps. This is a real 101 introduction into estimation. I'm not really a fan of points estimation. I don't think it's good or bad, but I think there are better ways. The next time I'll show you how we can take in the average number of PBIs. So we can count the number of product backlog items and size them. It takes a little bit more, a little bit more knowledge to do that. But this is certainly a good start and probably better than using time. All right. Cool. Look forward to your questions. Peace.